You are listening to bangradio.net.
Hey, what is happening? Steve Mayeda here with Bang Radio and with Venusian Arts, who sponsors this, man, and who I actually work for and helped found this awesome movement of the Evolved Venusian Artists, VA Evolved. Definitely check out that program. But here on Bang Radio today, we are talking about something which Pickup does a horrible job with talking about, which is relationships, relationship management, and basically what to do, man. What to do after you go on a date, what to do after you have sex, what to do when you're like Gary, who's on this call, and an awesome coach. And this is really the theme and anthem of what VA Evolve is really about, is basically be open and honest, to be able to access a group of men who are being honest, man, with their sex life and really living it. I mean, he's a guy that, look, okay, he's married, he has kids, he, 5 years ago, this all happened, and he's been working with VA, or he's been working with me in what is now VA Evolve for 5 years, man. It's freaking crazy. If you want a coach on social anxiety, there's no better person than him. But, he's talking about, like, what do I do? Man, I've been single this whole time. I've been having threesomes. I have a pretty, prolific sex life. But now I want to settle down. What is that like? This is what we do here. This is what the Evolved Venusian Artist is all about, being the total man. If you want to plug into that, man, go to VenusianArts.com, plug into it on our forum. If you want to support Bang Radio, what you got to do is go to iTunes right now, hit the subscription button or Stitcher, give us a thumbs up, give us some likes, give us some stars, write a written review, and let's keep this dialogue going, man. Because this is what it's about, man. It's about truth, man. There's no bullshit here. It's all about you being the empowered version of yourself. The Evolved Venusian Artist. The social dynamic to be the better man. All right. Talk to you guys soon. And this is actually cool because, for myself, I don't have all the answers. I'm really good at giving advice and I have a shit ton of experience. And man, I have a lot of experience, but that doesn't make me a better person. So it's so interesting. I've been coaching for a long time and more than most companies have existed. But just because of that, when I get rejected from a girl or I go through a breakup or Maria's mad at me, it doesn't make it hurt less. It doesn't make me, somehow bypass something. I feel it just the same. It causes me pain and it causes me, confusion just like anybody else. And so actually, this is Gary. We're talking about a girl that he's been dating. And, Gary was married. It was like after the marriage, it was like, fuck this. I lost my faith in this whole idea of marriage and relationships. So I'm just going to play the field. Built an awesome lifestyle. Has a lot of girlfriends around him. But you've been seeing this girl, or what's the situation?
Yeah. It's not only been maybe like a couple of months, and it's been nice because I always knew that I was eventually going to find a chick who wouldn't like really hardcore pressure me, and I knew that when I found somebody like that I would probably be more apt to like kind of stop seeing other people or whatever. Which this girl actually in the very beginning did kind of try to pressure me, but I hit the brakes and she was really cool about it. So what I was saying before, though, was that I have not been in a relationship in so long that, I almost feel like, Pickup broke me in a way, because it's like I don't even know how to be in a relationship. And it's like, and then besides all of that, like I'm just kind of starting to get to the point where when I met her, I have been meeting a whole bunch of more people, and, people are just around. Like weird, like Steve had said before, my mojo was starting to come back really hard. Like girls are hitting me up on Facebook and like, you're cute, we should hang out one day. And I'm like, I don't even know who the hell you are, but all right, I'll take it. So it's just this weird kind of thing that I've never really had to deal with before, just to be honest, because I pushed everyone away really quickly when they wanted a relationship over the last, 4 or 5 years. I think it's been since I've had a girlfriend. So that is kind of where I'm coming from.
Yeah, it's always a trip too, because it's like when you haven't experienced something, it's like, what's the image and the facade and whatever I can go for. But here's the thing, and I actually, again, I hate to say, I've said this so much on this evening that we've been sharing with one another by the fireside, is on the podcast I did with Ted Rice. today, we were talking about that, is that basically like, man, when you do not know uh, what to do, it's very easy to hit an archetype of what you're supposed to do and all that sort of shit. But the fucking problem is, here's the fucking problem, man. And here's where I'm gonna drop and spit some shit. I don't know anybody in the seduction scene that fucking has a functioning relationship. I don't know anybody who has something that I'd want except, Eric von Sydow, Zan maybe, but I do not see any, and I know everybody. Like I I interact with, I interview a lot of people, and they say good stuff, and it's great for learning to meet people and get laid or have a, superlative social life or something like that. But I do not see anybody really functioning with some sort of stability. There's always some sort of dysfunction. I know people that are married, I know people that have gotten girlfriends, but there's something off, and it's not right. And that's the shitty thing. Now, I know a lot of guys in the fitness industry that have good relationships. I know a lot of guys who are in other areas of whatever expertise, whether it's philosophy or life or yada, 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 that have good relationships that I would listen to. But this is such a loaded question, but it's everything that you need to think about. Number one, you need to think about, what do you want? And what do you want might be skewed by, some pussy. It might be skewed by some emotion. This person's affecting you. Look, people are supposed to have relationships. If you are close with her, you've been having sex for a long time, women will not let you off the hook with that. And even yourself will probably not let yourself off the hook with that too. Because guys go through this, but just in a different way of wanting to connect deeper with women. But women, they'll tell you like, oh, it's cool, just give me a definition. Well, what is this? And then you say, okay, well, here's what it is, and here's the definition. Like I call you, I see you, but that's it. I like being around you. Cool, fine. 2 weeks later, same discussion. Well, what is this? Why are we, blah, 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 blah. And so they'll keep coming at you with this. Well, what pickup says is build a frame and a definition. And, well, hey, look, maybe, and what I always do in this situation, if I don't really care that much, I just be indifferent. I say, okay, well, look, don't ask me questions that I can't really answer. I like you. I like being with you, but fuck, I don't know how to be a boyfriend or whatever. Do you really know what that means? That's like a big thing. It's a big commitment. And I don't know if either of us are ready to have that. So I've had that conversation many times. Well, guess what? 2 weeks later, a week later, a month later, same discussion happens. At some point, you have to make a decision. Okay. And that might be leaving it alone, or that might be going forward with it, or, setting more rules or whatever. But until there's a full exchange, people are going to be worried, both men and women. Now, that being said, what you want could be a lot of things, but man, I would actually say this: it would be unnatural for you not to want and entertain something, And so it might be like, look, I like you and I want to commit, but God, I don't know. I don't even know what that is. And so I might fuck up and bail out, or whatever it is, especially in your specific situation. It's like, well, we could try it, but I don't know if I'm a good boyfriend or whatever. I don't even know what that means. I've been single for so long. But let's try it. Let's try and just see one another for, let's try and do it. And I'll let you know if it's not working out. And maybe you might want to even baby step it that way. But here's the thing which I really ran into a lot. And actually, in my interview with John Lichtenberg, there's another podcast drop. Awesome interview, has not been posted yet, but there's an earlier one that is posted that is equally awesome. One of the best guys that I've ever done any interviews with. But John, he's like, man, I'm married and I have sex with lots of people. Same with Eric von Sydow. I'm married, I have sex with lots of people. And actually, I think Eric a little bit less with that. He's like, no, I'm more careful with my wife. And you could really ask him, but in the discussions that we've had, it's like, it's on the light side. It's really not to be that much of a swinger. He parties and has a lot of fun, but to actually really have sex, he's careful about who he has sex with. And it's not as like, I guess high in numbers as it once was before he was married. I myself were monogamous. I would say that Madi and I do not necessarily believe in monogamy, but that's what we believe in for each other, in the decision that we made for each other. And one of the things that you hear very, very heavy with John and what he said is he's like, man, marriage means something to me. It's so fucking important. Now I get it. You know, my wife doesn't need to get a boob job because I have this girl with big breasts and I have sex in these or whatever and yada yada. And he goes through his variety of women, right? But he's like, marriage is a big commitment that is beyond sex. And we made this decision together and we communicate and powered through it together. When we feel jealousy, we talk about it. And I even asked him that. I was like, man, you know, it affects me. It doesn't matter what skill set I have. I have jealousy when, you know, shit affects me. And he's like, man, you know what I did? And when he first started out with his wife, because they've been together for like a decade or something like that. But basically, he said that that when she was stripping, I think in Alaska, and he was, you know, somewhere else in California or Nevada or wherever else he was living, and he would just say like, hey, you know what, go ahead and do what you got to do, or he would say, you know what, hey, I'm feeling this jealousy thing, you know, let me get through it, you know, why is that here? And he wouldn't talk about it intellectually, but he would share his emotions with his wife, you know, and be able to do that. So I think that what's interesting about a relationship is number one, you're naturally going to feel it. My personal advice, let yourself feel it. Go with it. Okay. But go with it and know how to communicate it, which is like, hey, I don't know if I'm good at this. Let's try it out. If I fuck up, man, don't say I didn't warn you. And I'm not going in it with reservations. It's just, I haven't done this in 5, 6, 7 years or whatever. And my lifestyle is used to whatever. And to be honest, I was feeling like my mojo again, but whatever. Now, that being said, there's so many times where I felt my mojo and cut myself out of life experience. Life and what is worth it to me or what I find actual value in everybody comes from your real connections with people. The illusions of your wants being fulfilled and stuff like that, and like, hey, I'm on a tear, you know, that's great man feeling, but at some point it's got to have a man definition. And without a man definition, now that definition couldn't be to go bang a bunch of chicks, but own it, make the decision and choice in that. But don't let that get in the way of you. Look, if you were 50-50 on this, I would say go with it with her. If you were like, you know, whatever, 80-20 on it or something like that, a little bit less with her, I would say go and continue being single, but just own it. So there's no real specific advice there. If you would have my leaning, it would say, hey, go with it with her. And just say, hey, look, I don't know how to do this shit. It's been a long time. I like to hang out, have fun, do jujitsu. I like to party. You like to party. You want to try this? We can try it. But if it's not working, I'm going to let you know. And go with that. And then if you do start to feel comfortable with it, if you do start to feel comfortable with like, okay, I could just be with this girl, you know, or I'm kind of liking this, man, I would start to say like, okay, what do I want with this? You know, what could be good? What would be our good interaction? Like, okay, what does it mean to be dating? What does it mean to be boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, you know, the status of your thing is? What does it mean to just be fucking? Man, within a month of Maria and I hooking up, you know, we're both really sexually experienced people. She said, well, okay, so what do you want to do? Do you want like to be exclusive or do you want to play the field? And both of us had played the field. And I was like, you know what? I think I just want this. And then later, you know, a couple of months after that, it was very clear that it was like, no, I just want this. And we're not going to rock the boat in whatever way. And so that's a decision that we made. And then that's also a decision as life and sex and relationships come about. I mean, you know, we've been doing it for a while now where stuff changes. And if it changes, it's our responsibility to communicate through it. So that is my 2 cents. You need to determine what you want. And yeah, we all know pickup sends a shitty message just because nobody's really doing it. And take some steps forward and just own what you got.
one of the things that I think is really awesome because, I'm great at giving advice. I've given a lot of advice in my time. Steve, obviously the same thing. But it's always hard to take your own advice or to know what to do in the moment. So it's one of those cool things, like having a group like the TSL or any kind of group or any kind of support system. I mean, this thing to me is a million times more important than we were talking about before, like taking a boot camp. Where you can say, man, I have this question. Have you ever had this experience? And maybe 5 or 6 other people, or even 1 or 2 people can go, yo, I have, or no, I haven't, but. And they can think about things objectively for you, and because they're not really, the only skin they have in the game is that they want to help you. They're your brothers, your peers, So I just was kind of one of those things that I think is another really super important thing as a man, even to be part of some kind of group like this. More important than most things, in fact.
Awesome. So thank you guys so much for watching. Support us on iTunes. Support us on Stitcher. Man, get yourself plugged in. And if you want this conversation to really go, VenusianArts.com/forum is the place where all this is coming at. And this is what it's about, man. It's about being open, about honesty. It's about experience with life and relationships and sex. And that is what we're talking about. If you want that to be your lifestyle, man, any man that is involved in self-improvement would be stupid not to get involved with how can you communicate, have sex better, and man, be a better version of you. And there's no bullshit about this. Look, I've been coaching Gary, who you heard, and many of the guys on here, Jim, Doc, all the dudes who are interacting on these calls. We've been coaching at this high level for a long time, man. There's no fucking fat on this. There's no bullshit. It's all about being real and about being who we are and spreading this message. If you want to be a part of that, email Jamie at VenusianArts.com, and he can tell you all about VA Evolve and getting plugged in on this. And of course, you can check out our workshops. I have one in Austin, Texas, once a month. And hey, if you want to do this, and this is something that you can do and you want to commit to, because it's not some small time thing, you're the type of guy that I want to work with. So let's do this. Let's evolve this thing. VA Evolve, the social dynamic to be the better man.